Kevin Donnell Mann, aka Brotha Lynch Hung, born January 10th, 1969. In hip-hop, some artists build their legacies through radio hits and chart success, while others cement their place by creating an entirely different lane. Few rappers leaned into that approach more than Sacramento's own Brotha Lynch Hung. Emerging in the early 90s, Lynch quickly developed a reputation as one of the most unsettling, yet gifted storytellers in rap. His 1995 classic Season of the Siccness wasn't just an album, it was a cinematic descent into horror, narrated by an MC whose flow was as sharp as his imagery was graphic. Whether describing chilling scenes of violence, paranoia, or survival in the streets, Lynch's delivery set him apart as a master of detail who could pull listeners into his world. For fans of underground hip-hop, Lynch was a genius. His cadence was unique, his rhyme schemes intricate, and his ability to make dark material sound almost effortless gave him a mystique that few could match. But what made him stand out also made him nearly impossible to package for mainstream. Songs filled with graphic depictions of murder and cannibalism might have built a cult following, but they closed the doors at radio, MTV, and major labels. Sacramento, unlike Los Angeles or the Bay Area, didn't have the same industry infrastructure to push an artist past regional fame, which left Lynch mostly confined to underground circuits despite undeniable skill. Over time, Brotha Lynch Hung became a name spoken in reverence among fans who valued originality, but he was rarely mentioned alongside his contemporaries who reached national recognition. Even when he resurfaced later in his career under Tech Nine's Strange Music, an independent powerhouse known for embracing outcasts, Lynch's notoriety remained underground. His albums earned respect but didn't shift his status beyond cult legend. That leaves him as one of hip-hop's most fascinating what-if stories from an underground level. What if the very style that defined him hadn't also become a ceiling he could never escape? Brotha Lynch Hung's career proves that talent and uniqueness can make you unforgettable, but sometimes the same qualities can also keep you trapped in a corner. He obviously had talent, was an original at what he did, and pushed boundaries with his music that weren't pushed by many at the time. So why couldn't that be more celebrated in hip-hop? Well, mainly for these reasons. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Iceman Slim 87 on IG for this request. It's your boy JC, StuntedGrowthMusic. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Brotha Lynch Hung is a rapper from Sacramento, California, best known as one of the earliest West Coast artists to bring horrorcore into prominence. He broke onto the scene with the 1993 EP 24 Deep released through Black Market Records, a Sacramento label that became his launchpad. The project showcased his eerie mix of gangsta rap and horror film imagery, immediately setting him apart from other regional acts. 2 years later, Lynch delivered his full-length debut Season of the Siccness in 1995, a record now regarded as a horrorcore classic and one of the defining underground albums of its era. Its dark storytelling and cinematic detail earned him a cult following, but as mentioned, Sacramento lacked the music industry infrastructure of other major cities, leaving Lynch without the same level of national exposure. By the mid-90s, he was firmly established as an underground star, though mainstream recognition remained elusive. Stunt number 1, too graphic for the mainstream. Brotha Lynch Hung's greatest gift as an artist was also the reason he could never break through to the mainstream, even though it's understood that may not have been his intention. His music in the early 90s was fearless, painting scenes with the detail of a horror film director. His early projects gave him instant credibility as one of the most original voices on the West Coast, but the very imagery that made his songs unforgettable also made them nearly impossible to promote to a wider audience. Unlike many Los Angeles rappers who could balance gangsta narratives with radio-ready singles, Lynch doubled down on his darkest instincts. Tracks such as Low to the Brain or Rest in Piss showcased his lyrical creativity, but they were virtually unplayable on mainstream radio. BET gave him brief windows of exposure, airing videos like Refuse to Lose, yet his catalog as a whole was too graphic for regular rotation. Without constant radio and video presence, the industry ladder of mixtape buzz, radio airplay, video exposure, and eventually major label backing was cut off before he could climb it. This rejection by mainstream platforms, however, only deepened his underground mystique. Fans who discovered Lynch saw him as authentic, uncompromising, and unwilling to water down his vision for commercial gain. His storytelling created a bond with listeners who felt his music captured emotions no one else dared to voice. That loyalty helped him build one of hip-hop's most endearing cult followings. But the trade-off was clear. While peers rode industry machinery into platinum plaques and household recognition, Lynch remained on the outside looking in, respected for his artistry but limited by its extremity. His genius flourished, but much like gravediggers, only in spaces too small for mainstream success. Stunt number 2, industry and label struggles. If Brotha Lynch Hung's subject matter limited his mainstream reach, his label situation sealed it. From his earliest days, he was tied to Sacramento's Black Market Records, the independent imprint that released 2 of what fans would call his breakout albums. While the label gave him a platform, it lacked the industry weight of Bay Area giants like Jive or an LA powerhouse like Death Row. Instead of opening doors, Black Market became a ceiling. The label was notorious for disputes and instability, and Lynch himself became tangled in conflicts with its founder Cedric Singleton. Legal issues and money disagreements followed, further complicating his career momentum. For a rapper who already had odds stacked against him with controversial content, being locked into a label who couldn't push him beyond Northern California made the climb even steeper. Geography added to the problem. Sacramento had talent, but no real mainstream rap scene being paid attention to. Without the promotional networks of LA or the Bay, Lynch's projects rarely received national rollouts. His 1997 follow-up Loaded was another strong showing creatively, but despite loyal underground support, it never crossed over into mainstream conversations. The record proved he wasn't a one-album wonder, yet it also highlighted how far behind Sacramento artists were in terms of exposure and opportunity. By the end of the 90s, Lynch's reputation as a cult figure was secure, but so were the barriers around him. Industry doors didn't open, distribution remained limited, and legal battles with his label made growth nearly impossible. What should have been the prime of his career turned into a period where his talent far outweighed his reach. Instead of ascending alongside other West Coast legends, Lynch remained boxed in by circumstances as much as by choice. Either way, it was disappointing to see so much talent not be recognized on a household level because of everything but the talent. Stunt number 3, longevity without breakthrough. For most rappers, longevity is the hardest thing to achieve. Trends shift, fans grow older, and new artists constantly flood the scene. Brotha Lynch Hung managed to last through all of that. After his mid-90s run with Season of the Siccness and Loaded, he continued releasing projects into the 2000s and beyond, including EBK4 in 2000, The Virus 2001, and later his trilogy under Tech Nine's Strange Music label, Dinner and a Movie 2010, Kothanga Strangler in 2011, and Manable Lecter in 2013. Each album reminded listeners that Lynch hadn't lost a step lyrically. His flow was sharp, his wordplay chilling, and his storytelling as vivid as ever. The Strange Music signing in 2009 seemed like the perfect setup for a late career breakthrough. Strange had a loyal national fan base, strong distribution, and a reputation for elevating underground legends. Lynch's first release on the label, Dinner and a Movie, even cracked the Billboard 200 at 69, a respectable showing for an artist 15 years into his career. It suggested he might finally break the barrier between cult status and broader recognition, but the ceiling remained stubbornly low. Despite the backing of Tech Nine's machine, none of his Strange Music releases produced a breakout single or reached beyond the underground. His content still leaned heavily into the same imagery, which limited crossover potential even in an era more open to edgy rap. Younger listeners respected his legacy but weren't drawn in by the themes that seemed out of step with mainstream hip-hop's direction. Longevity alone proved Lynch's commitment and artistry, but it also highlighted the box he was stuck in. He stayed relevant enough to his core audience to keep making music, yet without a defining mainstream hit, he never escaped cult legend territory. For Brotha Lynch Hung, consistency didn't equal growth, it only extended the same plateau he's been on since the mid-90s. All in all, Brotha Lynch Hung's career stands as one of hip-hop's most fascinating contradictions. He was a master storyteller with a flow as sharp as anyone from his era, and yet he never achieved the mainstream platform his talent seemed to warrant. His graphic horrorcore style gave him instant distinction, but closed doors in an industry that required radio singles and clean hooks. His loyalty to Sacramento's black market records provided a start but limited his national reach, and even a later run with strange music couldn't lift him past cult status. Still, longevity became his quiet triumph. Decades after 24 Deep, fans still reference his imagery, albums, and influence on darker corners of rap. He never watered down his vision, and for those who found him, that was exactly the point. Brotha Lynch Hung didn't conquer the mainstream, but he built a world of his own. Salute, much respect. But for these reasons, mainstream-wise, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, StuntedGrowthMusic, and I'm out.